What's going on, guys? Welcome back to GameFace Mondays. I'm your host, Arthur Early. And I spent a lot of time in finance. And along that time, I actually outsold some salespeople on the floor, and I wasn't even a salesperson. And the reason why is because I had a lot of referrals. And when you treat your customers good, they give you the referrals. Today's guest is Chris Nesky of Nissan of Bayshore. Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself, your dealership, and what it is that you do there.
Hey Arthur, how are you? It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you.
I'm finance manager of Nissan of Bayshore. I've been in the auto industry for 32 years. I'm with the Debris Auto Group right now for the last 12 years. We just acquired 2 new points on Long Island, and we're really excited about opening them up and getting them up and running to our potential. So during this interview, I hope we can go over some things and make a good finance company and a good store and run it compliant and make everyone happy, especially the customers.
Awesome, Chris. Let's get it right into it then. You hit it right on the head when you said especially the customers. That's what I want to talk a little bit about right now is the customer experience. You and I both know ends with the finance manager, and it can really impact our sale. So let's speak a little bit about what the difference is, being that we're the last face they see, and how we can go about treating them better and making sure their experience is good.
Well, as you know, my store is totally devoted to spotting the vehicle. So I'm going to say 95% of our deals are spot deliveries, and the customer spends usually 1 to 2 hours with the salesman up front. So by the time they get into the finance office, they're pretty much tired, they're hungry, they have to go home, they have an appointment. So it's really our job to be the liaison between the salesman and the delivery and make sure they leave with a happy smile on their face. So, and also doing it very compliant. So, they know what they're buying, they know what they paid for the car. And also, it's our time to sell them after sale products, explain about rates and warranties, and make sure that they know everything that's going on throughout the process and leave with any thoughts that they didn't realize what's going on.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Full transparency. And I think that's what helps with the actual experience of the customer. They feel good when they're buying things and they know exactly what they're buying. It makes the buying experience a little bit better, and it makes the customer feel a little bit better as well. And I want to go ahead and talk about what the difference is, you know, between a good finance manager and what a good finance manager does versus what a bad finance manager does. And I'm talking about the full finance experience, from the customer experience to actually what goes on in house.
well, as you know, today's day and age, the banks are looking at the customer's credit a lot differently. So that's one thing. It's getting the approval, getting the best rate for them, and also making the deal make sense to your dealership and to the customer. That's the first thing. Um, Mostly now, you're seeing people who are holding on to the cars a little longer because of what's going on in the world today with the pandemic. But the people that are coming out, they are buying cars, they are buying product, and you have to make sure that the product is priced accordingly to compliancy rules and with whatever your dealership is allowing you to sell them for. Um, and it's the main thing that makes a good finance manager is someone who has the passion for the business and has been doing it for a while and still loves what he does and still wants to be the first one there and the last one to leave. And that's a big thing. Some nights we get out of here at 11, 12 at night. Sometimes we get out of here at 9. And every customer is treated the same way,
Absolutely.
the beginning to the end. There's no deviation, there's no difference. We do menu selling on every customer. We run OFAC reports. We do e-contracting on 95% of our deals. And it's just that make sure that each customer is treated the same way and that there's no deviation in the way that you present your products.
Absolutely. And sometimes you don't really want to call them a bad finance manager, but a finance manager who doesn't really have the customers, their experience, full customer experience. And sometimes that could give the the whole outlook of the business a bad connotation. And a finance manager like yourself that's been doing this for a long time knows the difference and knows the customer's wants and customers' needs, and not looking at their own pockets, but looking to build a relationship with the customer. And like I said before, I was able to build a good rapport with a customer, whereas they were giving me referrals.
Hmm.
Okay. And I want to talk to you about building a relationship with a customer. What exactly do you do um, for the people out there watching that might have a hard time building a relationship with a customer? What is it, some of the things that you do to help that?
Well, I'm involved with, the front desk, obviously. I walk around the showroom, I see what's going on. I try and put you know, my idea into every little thing from the sales process to the closing process to the delivery process to the finance process. So I pretty much know about everything that's going on with the deal before it comes into my office. And I know what's been discussed with the sales desk, what's been discussed between the customer and the salesman. So it's all about communication. Communication is a big part of selling nowadays, and it's also about breaking down barriers. If you are very standoffish from the beginning with the customer, you're not going to get a good relationship. They're not going to leave happy. You're not going to end up selling anything, and you're just going to, have a customer who's not going to give you referrals. But if you're, down to earth, you're straightforward with them, you're making friends, you're there to help them, not to hurt them. And that's a big thing which people sense right away. And once they feel that they're comfortable with you, then that's one of the best processes you can initiate with being a good finance or salesman at that. So that's one of the big things. And the bad people that come in, oh, I don't want to see a customer. It's 10 o'clock. It's late. I want to go home to my family. Or, another lease deal again. What is it? The sign and drive. I'm not making any money. It's not that way anymore. You have to be the same with every customer and treat them properly. And it's not whether it's a lease or a retail or a cash deal. They're all customers of yours and of your owners and your dealerships. So you want them to refer a customer from their cousin, their aunt, their uncle. We're not just here to sell a customer one car. We're here to sell a customer 5 or 6 cars. And that's a big goal, to keep it within our own organization. So that's a big thing.
One of the things that I did, let's say it's a busy Saturday, busy Sunday, and the showroom's packed. What I would do is I actually go out to the customer and
Mm-hmm.
always had a smile on my face,
Mm-hmm.
always. And once the customer sees you're smiling, it's human nature to smile back. So they see you smiling, and you sit down and you let them know who you are, introduce yourself, and let them know what the next steps of the process is going to be. And they feel a little bit more comfortable, as opposed to having a salesperson say, "Hey, just bring them on in." They don't know who you are. They don't know what you're going to be doing, what you're going to be talking about. But I experienced that once you let a customer know exactly step by step what is going to happen next, and what the next process is, they feel a lot more comfortable. Even if you have to deliver some not so great news in regards to their credit or the rate or something like that, they take that news a little bit better. Whereas if somebody came in that the salesman brought in and they don't know you and you haven't had time to establish a relationship with them, it's going to be a little bit harder. Actually, it's going to be a lot harder to go ahead and try to turn around and build a relationship with them and make some kind of rapport with them, because they don't know who you are. And the first thing they see you doing is delivering them bad news. That's going to hurt um, what we call CSI in this business, because the customers are very, very upset from the outgo, and it's going to also hurt your procopy and your ability to sell them in the after products, which is one of the things that I never really did. I don't care how busy I was. I always made it a matter to go out and at least say hello to the customer and let them know exactly who I was. It's very, very important. And I think a lot of the new finance managers that are coming into the business need to realize this from the jump. And what do you think about that as well?
You make a very good point there. It's true that when the customer is sitting out there after the deal's been assigned to you, Go out there, say hello, say your name, shake their hand, or, well, excuse me, in today's day and age, give them a fist bump. Yes, introduce yourself and say, I'm going to be taking care of you. I'm the finance manager here. I'm going to be handling all your financing needs. And just let them know that they're not just sitting there waiting for some guy to come up there and bring them in, what they call the box,
Right.
know, and that, they're going to be handled. And that gives them a little sigh of relief that they are in process of getting their new vehicle. And they know the person they're going to meet, and they're going to talk to about what their wants and needs are in the finance part of it. So that's the big thing, is just making yourself attentive to the customer and presenting yourself to them that you are handling their situation.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Now, I want to talk about a little bit for those salespeople out there. And I remember when I was one of them, and we worked together when I was a salesperson. You were a finance manager.
Sure.
That actually want to have an accolades of actually getting into finance. Some of the things that they want to start out and not have any bad habits, and some of the things that they want to start doing that they could start doing on the sales floor that transition into finance. So, what are the things that you might recommend for somebody that's looking to move into finance?
Well, the main things, it's somebody who has a passion for the industry, like I say, who enjoys coming to work every day, who has a positive mental attitude, and it's someone who likes, what they do, and just sitting there watching, learning, and listening. There's always people who you have on your floor, your sales managers, your finance managers, finance directors, your executive managers. How did they get into the position that they're in right now? Because they got a passion for what they do, and they sat down, they listened. They didn't just speak, they listened to what the people who they thought were their bosses and knew what's going on in the industry. They took the good points, they took the bad points, and they enhanced on that. And they are, trying to move up. So first you become a salesman, then you become a sales manager, then you become a general manager, then you become hopefully a finance guy during that course. And I always said a great finance person, makes a great sales manager or a great general sales manager, because finance right now is probably the bread and butter of the industry where you're making your money. And that's one of my thoughts, is that every great finance manager who moves up and becomes a sales manager or a general sales manager or a general manager, they know finance like the back of their hand.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, I had the I guess I would call it the luck in this business, actually being on the other side of the phone where I worked as at a national bank. Okay, so I knew as a credit analyst, so I knew the in and outs of getting what we call paper bought, meaning getting a deal bought, a customer bought to the bank. But as far as sitting on the other side of the phone and sitting down with the customer, it's completely different from selling a car to selling an aftermarket product, or selling a customer on a rate or a tire and wheel package. And I feel that you have to be like a sponge, okay? And you can't really come into finance with any bad habits, because if you do come into finance with bad habits, you're not going to achieve the success that you would if you didn't come in with bad habits. Get with a finance manager at your dealership that you feel comfortable with, and learn from him. Learn how to submit an application. Learn how to talk to a customer. Learn how to sit down and present you correctly. These are the little small attention to details that I think some of the newer finance managers are missing, and and all they're thinking about is let's get the money. It's a process. It's a process that you have to take when you're looking to move up to the next level, and I believe that's 100% true. And speaking of let's getting to the money, um, a lot of people do not understand what kind of income that you can make when you get into a finance position. But I have to believe that it all has to be compliant. And I believe, if you are, the more compliant you are, the more money you're going to make, because you're going to be transparent with the customer. You're going to give the customer a reason to buy a product. Can you speak a little bit about the money that you can make and exactly what things that you can do to make a better future for yourself as a finance manager?
Well, you make a very good point. As you said, you were on the other side of the spectrum when you worked for a national bank. So you know that portion of the business as well as being on the automobile portion of it. Now, today's banks are they're watching every deal very, very closely. The compliancy issue with the income of the customer, um, their prior history, loan to value on the vehicle that you're selling, all these things are coming into play with your approvals. Okay, most of the banks are they're tightening up with what's going on with the people in in the automobile field, and watching how the finance people are sending deals into their banks and making sure it's on the up and up. And if they're not, and they start to find a pattern of you deceiving or lying about this or lying about that, they're going to shut you off. And we all know that if you don't have the banks to buy your paper, how are you going to sell a car?
Absolutely.
So you want as many banks as you can. You want to have a great relationship with your captive lender. Ours, of course, being Nissan. So it's being on the up and up, like you say. There's no more Wild West running and gunning like there was years ago. Nowadays, you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman, a salesman. You have to wear a lot of hats when you come into this office. And the more that you can make yourself compliant with all the different type of deals you're doing, you want to make sure that your dealership's protected. And if your dealership is not protected, then you're not going to last very long in this industry.
And a lot of finance managers don't understand, when you submit an application to the bank, you're actually representing the bank to the customer.
You're an officer of the bank at that point in time. So
Absolutely.
so that everything is straightforward.
100%, Chris. And I want to talk a little bit about how nowadays, with the whole pandemic that we're in right now, how selling has changed, how it has gone more into a digital presentation. I want you to speak a little bit about that, because I know we've spoken about that before, and how you have to be technologically advanced as far as the selling goes, and what it takes to be a good finance manager in this particular day and age.
Well, as you know, right now, as we're speaking, everything now is really basically on social media. There's no more newspaper ads. They're really also toning down on the television and radio ads. So your main goal is to have a good social media following. You have to have a good BDC department, which can get your customers into your dealership. You have to have a good follow-up customer base, and also all these salesmen, their CSI has to be way above board in order for them to continue what they're doing. So CSI plays a big role in today's market. Social media is the wave of the future. People that are not getting on board that wave, they're gonna get crashed on the wave, and they're not going to succeed. So it's about technology, and what you're doing about it, and how you're advancing yourself. The old phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, that's not true anymore. The old dog better learn new tricks, or else he's not going to be there much longer.
Chris, I could not agree with you more on that last statement that you just said. This is not the 1980s, the 1990s, the wild west anymore. Okay, the customers coming in these days knowing more than the salesperson. They've done their research. They're on the internet, they're researching, they know them. I've had customers come into the dealership with tape measures to see that the trunk was exactly 41.2 inches. You know what I'm saying? These are the kind of customers that we're dealing with these days. And and trying to sell a customer the ways of the Wild West. It's just not going to work anymore. You have to be savvy than the customer. You have to know more than the customer, and that takes a little bit more education. And the way digital selling is going this now, you have to be able to market digitally, and that's one of the reasons why I'm now currently, in partnership with Shop Smart Autos, because we're able to go ahead and target customers to your dealership and also guarantee you 20% more delivery and sales, because we have technology on our side. We use Dealer Track, we use Shops, Look Smart, and we use NADA, and these are what you want to call the Bibles of the automobile industry. And I just want to go ahead, take this time out right now to thank Chris for being with us today. All right. Thank you, Chris, for being with us. Any parting words that you might want to give us?
No, thank you. It was a pleasure, and I wish you all the success with your new show. And thank you for having me.
All right, guys. That is Game Face Mondays. And until next Monday, we'll see you then. Bye for now.